as some of you may know, I came to Norway to do my master's in economics, and I am no longer in Norway, so I'm just sharing my experiences with you. I have left so that you can come too, and I'm here to tell you how you can deal with Norway, how you can come to Norway, how you can survive in Norway. Like, basically that's all what I talk about here. So before I came to Norway, before I even applied to study in Norway, I was reading a lot about Norway. I always had it in mind to come and study in Norway. I wanted to even do my bachelor's in Norway, but then I knew it was in Norwegian. And that should have given me the indication of how solid Europe is, certain parts of Europe is with language and the language restrictions. But I didn't really think of it that way. What blinded me was it being one of the top countries doing well in terms of GDP, in terms of all the economic indicators, because I studied economics, so we talked about countries that had high GDP a lot, and Norway was one of them. But then I don't know why they didn't tell us how serious the language barrier thing is, because it's all because we have language back home. In Ghana we speak Ghanaian language, we speak Chi, and I think the Nigerians that come to Ghana will know how serious the barrier is than we that are living in Ghana, because even though we speak English all the time, Nigerians still come to Ghana and they face the language barrier, especially in schools. I see when our teachers would just switch into Chi and start speaking the Ghanaian language, and the Nigerians in the class would be lost. So I feel that's the same thing with Norway. But now here is the case. They are countries that have not been colonized by anybody, so they do not have anything to show or prove to a bigger country that they are better at speaking their language than them, or they are speaking their language from their colonial masters. They are on their own. They make their own rules. They've made their own rules, although they were under Danish and the rest. But then it's been a long time. They're alone. They survived on their own. They're doing well on their own. They do not have to speak a language so that they can get favors from outside, right? So I didn't really know that was how serious the language thing was in Norway. When I googled, they're like, oh, I don't know whether it was years ago, the Google was not updated. They're like, oh, Norway is an English-speaking country. You go into the country, people speak English, so it's not really a problem. You can move around. Spare me that. If you are passing through as a tourist in Oslo for 2 days, you can. But if you plan to stay in that country for 3 months or more, you can't. You can't to some extent. So maybe your husband is a billionaire, or you do not plan to do anything else. You just want to live on your husband's fortune. You can. If you want to hustle, if you want to work, if you want to make money in the country, no matter where you are, you cannot run away from the grips of learning Norwegian. I remember going to the American embassy, and the person at the American embassy was asking me if I spoke Norwegian. I'm like, I'm going to an English-speaking country. What do I need Norwegian for? That's how serious it is, because the American at the embassy was speaking Norwegian to me. So even Americans that come into the country and work in their own embassy cannot escape learning Norwegian than you. So that's just how it is. So I'm just going to go into details, all the experiences I've had, my journey learning the language, how strong the barrier is. Let's start from school. So from school, my master's was in English. I didn't have to do master's in Norwegian. But then I had the chance, or I had the opportunity, or I chose to take an elective in Norwegian. That was Excel for economy, Excel for business at a business school. So I took it as one of my electives because I wanted to learn Excel, and I felt it was going to be interesting, like learning in Norwegian. So I had option, but then my master's was in English. I could just come study English and go my way, but it doesn't end there. I had to work, and even commuting around school. Almost all the signs on campus are in Norwegian, but sometimes you'll be lucky to see some signs that will be in English, or they would have English translations, but almost all the signs are in Norwegian. And if you are not fortunate and your main department is a Norwegian department, so like we had Handelshøyskolen, that's the School of Business, it's in Norwegian. The students from Handelshøyskolen, they even know that they had like economics program which was in English, because most of them are doing samfunnsøkonomi, and that's like economics. We're supposed to be in the same class, but they were in samfunnsøkonomi and we were in economics and sustainability. They divided us like that. We didn't know ourselves. I met a guy, he said he is an economics master's year 2. And I'm like, I'm also in year 2. We've never met, because he is taking the Norwegian track and I'm in the English track. So our own experiences are totally different. In the university, you would have that. So if you're not lucky and your department is like Handelshøyskolen, it's not School of Business in English, like literally. Almost everything that will go on will be in Norwegian, because the undergrads will have their clubs, which will be in Norwegian. The departments will have like meetings with alumni, that will be in Norwegian. So unless they have like a specific department focused meeting, then you can have that in English, but otherwise every other thing. So an experience in school was when I wanted to join the department committee. I don't know, one of my friends how do they say it, like she put my name as nominated me. So she nominated me for that position. I was like, why did you nominate me for like a student's body position? Because I know all of those things are in Norwegian. Because I remember when I started the student parliament, they said you should be proficient in Norwegian, because everything they'll be doing in the student parliament is going to be in Norwegian. So if you want to be a part of the student parliament, you would have to know Norwegian. So English speakers were not welcome there. It was until later there was this guy, he was a very good president. He changed that policy so internationals could join. So you can imagine, for my department, I joined the research committee as a deputy. That was the I remember vividly that day. I just went there quietly. The whole hall was quiet, like all the nominees and then the seating committee. It was so quiet. I walked in, everyone was looking at me. It's like, is this girl lost? I didn't mind. Like, I've learned that integrating, the best way to integrate is to just remove all shyness. I didn't mind. I moved. I went into the meeting. Everyone else came to introduce themselves. Like those that were nominated, they had to vote for them. Introduce yourselves, but they introduced themselves in Norwegian. I was like, what is going on? So at that point, I had already started going for the school organizes this Norwegian classes for you to be able to like know simple greetings and simple introduction of yourself. And I did some Googling while I was sitting there to say, like, to find the words I would say when I go there to the front to introduce myself. It was the worst day ever. But then I know how to kick away all embarrassment. Duh. So I just went to the front. I went, hello, alle sammen. What else did I say? Hello, alle sammen. Jeg heter Joy. I'm a beta. And I was like, norsken min ikke så god. That was not how you would have to say it. People don't really say that in Norwegian. You can say, jeg kan ikke snakke veldig bra norsk. Men jeg kan snakke litt norsk, og jeg skal snakke engelsk. Like, you can say it in a different way, but nobody says norske mine er ikke så god, because it's, I meant to say my Norwegian is not so good, but that's not how it's supposed to be said. So that's a big bummer already. So well, I said that and I was like, sorry, I'm going to speak English. My name is Joy and I'm in this, that. I'm going to I'm here for the research, blah blah blah, and all of that. And that was when they voted for me and I was in, and that was the only time anybody had to hear English. Then I saw some girls behind, they were laughing, they were chuckling. I was like, so people are not serious. This thing that I'm doing here, I wanted to enter my CV. That is why I am standing here. You think I'm here to come and look at you laughing at me? I don't care. Like, I've been in worse cases and this cannot bring me down. So I just shook that off. I didn't mind them and continued. And I worked with the committee for a whole year until I had to hand over. I don't even know how that went. But then all the meetings I attended from then, the committee sittings were in Norwegian. Luckily, I had technology. My laptop, I could go sit there. When I sit in the meetings, I sit in front, close to the speaker, and then the laptop translates everything for me. That was what I used in the Excel for economy class, where the laptop was just translating what the professor was saying for me until later I could understand for myself. But in the beginning, it was very hard. So in the university, these are the barriers you will face. You could see certain elective courses that you feel are very, very important for your study. So for me, my master's, I didn't do microeconomics into details or macroeconomics into details. I just did one microeconomics and then some other courses which were not into detail economics. So it was more of an industry track than a real economics main track, because all the main economics program were in Norwegian, and it won't make sense to go and be doing game theory in Norwegian, whereas I do not have full proficiency in Norwegian. I'll just struggle. So that was some of the barriers for me in school. The electives that I felt, sometimes you want to do like accounting. One of my friends really wanted to do like finance courses, but then they were all in Norwegian. Sometimes you just have to like push everything aside and go for it, but then you will be writing exams and you'll be graded. So it will be best not to go for that. And then you can have like symposiums, conferences that you feel this will be very important for you. There will be no translation available. All will be in Norwegian and you're just there. And not to talk about having classmates who won't speak to you because they would have to speak English and they do not want to speak English. It's that bad. Like, university students do not want to speak English. I really appreciate my roommates and my friends that I got to make that speak English with me, because by speaking English with me, I got to learn Norwegian through them. Like, and we built like really good connections. Like, I really like them. So they don't know, it's just about opening up. Sometimes the other person succumbs, but the barrier is there. You have to break the barrier and then put away all shyness and just forcefully go and sit in those symposiums that are only Norwegian. So that was it. And then faith-based, so because it's school and school needed church, like I'm a Christian, so I needed to be in a church. Finding a church was difficult around school, but then there are churches around that had like translation. But then I don't know, I really wanted to integrate, so I wanted a full Norwegian church. But then you can't blame them for speaking only Norwegian in church. Yeah. So that is for school. Now let's see work. How is it at work? At least school, you know, you're just going to learn. All what you have to do with is you and the professor. But at work, like, That is where the barrier of all barriers come. Number one, even getting into the job. So that's why one of my videos, I talked about the jobs you can do if you do not speak Norwegian. Those ones you can start doing. Nobody will come and disturb you with the language, because you go to work, people will just hate you immediately you step foot there because you're speaking English. That was my experience. I had a woman, she never uttered one single word in Norwegian. She bullied me all through my time at work because she spoke Norwegian. I didn't understand. I could be standing in front of she and another girl in the kitchen. They'll be talking about me. I'm standing there doing my thing. I don't know what is happening. But then as they were doing it, I was speaking all the words, until one day my ears just popped and I couldn't understand what they were doing. And I just shouted. I looked back. I was like, no, I didn't do that. Like, so it made sense that they've been reporting me to the boss, that like if somebody makes a mistake, they'll say it's me that did it, because I can't defend myself in Norwegian. Anything I said in English didn't make sense. And because I didn't understand Norwegian, the English I was speaking, I'm still speaking like real English, but then the meanings will mean something else to a Norwegian who speaks Norwegian and speaks English. So when you know the Norwegian, you're able to know the English word that they would use in a certain situation. But because I didn't have that, it was hard defending myself at some point. So that was what I faced at work in the beginning. And then I could be in staff meetings when you're talking about things that are affecting the place I am working, and I do not know what's going on because no one is going to translate it to you. You just have to sit down there and be looking at them like a zombie, and they do not want you to be on your phone because they'll feel bad that you're doing blah blah blah. So you just have to sit there. At home, I didn't really have a problem. Because I had like very amazing roommates. But once in a while, you'd have like someone whose head is touching. That was at my later time before I left. Like she felt I don't know, the words I could pick from what she said was, I lied that I understood Norwegian. Whereas I like, it just didn't make sense. How? Because Norway is divided into different parts, and I'm living around Oslo, so I understand almost fluently the Oslo dialect. But once you start going deeper and deeper, it would take a long time to process. And I lived in a place in my later time with people that came from different parts of Norway, and I didn't understand their dialect. So to be safe, I didn't want to speak Norwegian in the house because I can't understand them. Like, I can't bring my ears to understanding because it's a different dialect. It would take a long time to process. And since I spoke English, it was going to be easy. All what I heard this girl say was, I claimed that I could speak Norwegian, and I came into the house, and when they are having this thing, when they are sitting together, I don't talk to them. I'm like, bro, what are you even saying? Won't you even be nice to me that I've been here for like 2 years and I'm already understanding the little things you people are saying? Like, spare me. So those are things you will see. Like, someone would just be angry about the fact that you do not want to listen to them because you don't understand, as if it's the person's fault. But then I was so grateful to them in the beginning when they were patient with me. Some people were very patient, like sat me down, taught me. I had a textbook. They would just come to them, explain this to me. But so once you express the willingness to learn, then you have a lot of people becoming more accommodative. But once you're not expressing or showing willingness to learn, forget it. Sometimes, like, you'll be talking to them, they'll just move, they'll just walk away because you are stressing them. You're stressing them with your English. It's a whole serious thing. Then now, going into the job market, that is the barriers of all mega barrier. Like, going into the job market, number one, you're being discriminated for your surname. I've seen a lot of LinkedIn posts, people saying that they had to change their surnames to Norwegian surnames to or even their first names to Norwegian first names to be able to get job interviews, because they assume that foreigners, you will not understand Norwegian, and if you speak the Norwegian, you will not speak it with the right accents. Like, that's the whole barrier in the job market. And there's some jobs they will just write their C level. Once they say C level, it is another way of saying citizen. It is another way, because it is at the C level you get your citizenship. So that's a very nice way to say this job is just for Norwegian citizens. And then to filter who is a Norwegian citizen, they would use your name, because Norway, you would have to have a certain type of name. I saw a TikTok video of a guy saying he's an American. I don't know, some of you might have seen the video. He's an American who is married to a Norwegian, and they had a child, and he wants to name his child like the way Americans do the third and the second, the fifth at the end of their name. Like, they will have the what's it called after the names. And Norway said no, this is not how we name our kid. Like, the names has to pass through law. It has to be approved before your child will be named. So everybody has very similar names. Like, if you have a name like Jansen or Hansen or Jogel or something, it's a very typical norsk. It's a very typical norsk. So people try to change their names, like Maria or Sarah or Sophia, or so once they see names like Agbevuvu and all of those names, forget it. Nobody is going to call you for an interview when it's a C level. So that's how they filter to know that, okay, this person is not going to be fluent in Norse. And then some of the jobs require to have B2 level. That's the level before the C level. So with the B2 level, at this point you can get like data analytics job or a banker job or accountant or HR or all of those professional jobs at B2 level. And that's where they will just brutally give you rejection letters because you do not have B2 level. I've once had an interview where it was a C level, but then I knew I was still going to get a job. It was a top firm, and this firm required me to have, and this firm, they know I'm just like, I've been, because I worked with them. It's not really a job. I was supposed to add this in one of my YouTube videos where I talked about all the jobs that I've worked in Norway. I worked as a master's thesis student with a research company. So it's a research company, but then they had a research topic, so I was working with them. I just had an office space. I was not paid for it, but I was just working with them using all their resources, and they needed like a research assistant. There was a research assistant position there. It was my supervisor who needed the job, so I would have probably gotten the job, but then it's a whole story altogether why I didn't get the job or how I didn't get the job. So the interview that I had, that was with another lady. She knows I do not speak Norwegian, but then the interview was conducted in Norwegian. I spoke Norwegian, so the parts that I didn't understand, and I asked my supervisor what it meant, and then he told me, and then I responded in English. So all the interview questions were like in Norwegian. The ones I could respond to, I responded in Norwegian. The ones I couldn't, I responded in English. So you would sit in interviews in Norwegian if you claim you understand to B2 level and you do not really understand. When you go to the interviews, that is when they will catch you. So the job market is a whole different thing altogether, and then you enter into the job space, then you would have to communicate in Norwegian to your people. And there are some jobs like shop attendants. Those jobs you would always have to, because you're at the front line, you would always have to talk to people that are coming to buy things in the shop, and those people do not want to speak English. One time I worked as a shop attendant. Even though the shop attendant position didn't require me to speak Norwegian, but I could speak English, there people come to the shop and they're like, where is the other person I can speak to who understands their language, like who understands Norwegian very well? That, like, That's just how it is. And one of my friends also said the same thing, that they did that to her, that she didn't understand Norwegian very well, so the woman refused to talk to her. And even healthcare jobs, for instance, that's why I've not really spoken so much on the nursing school and all of that. Before you can get into certain specialized program or certain specialized jobs, you need Norwegian. That's when it is no bargaining. You need to know Norwegian, plus you need to know the professional languages there, because you need to know the medicines in Norwegian, you need to know the drugs in Norwegian. Like, no bargaining. So those are some few places where you can get the barriers, the language barrier, be stamped on your forehead if you do not accept or agree to learn Norwegian. As I've always said, try as much as possible to start learning. If you know you're going to live in Norway for long and you want to live in Norway for long, please start learning the language. It will go a long way to help you. I've shared videos on how you can learn the language, but the main way to learn the language is just by interacting with people. I didn't pay for classes, but by the time I was leaving Norway, I could understand almost everything, and I could speak to people, like they could understand me, and that's the level you would want to get to. So if I had gone for classes, I would have been very fluent. Like, I could have been making YouTube videos in Norwegian. So just invest so much if you know, and psych yourself. Don't be shocked when you get there that you didn't know Norway. Yeah, you know, don't be a victim. Know this and know this. Norway is big on their language, even though it's a developed country. Developed country doesn't mean it's America, doesn't mean it's UK. They do not want you to speak English to them. Like, don't speak English as much as possible. Don't speak English. So meaning you have to learn Norwegian. When you speak English, your case is worse, because as a foreign person, your case is already worse. And now you're coming to speak English on top. You don't speak Norwegian. Are you serious? Are you even serious? Like, are you how don't you speak Norwegian? How long have you lived here? And you plan to live here for long? Like, please don't do that yet. Those are questions you'll be getting, like, how long have you lived in Norway? As soon as you say you don't speak language, and when you say you've lived in a country for 3 years and you do not speak Norwegian, they find it very disrespectful that you've been in the country for this long and you're not even showing any enthusiasm to learn the language. That it means you just don't like them. You're an enemy, in quotes. If you followed this video to the end, thank you so much for your support. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments on your experiences living in Norway and learning the language, we would love to hear from you. Don't forget to leave it in the comments and let me know how this video has helped you, and let me know what other videos you would like me to talk about. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. When you do, other people will see my channel on YouTube, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.